welcome or welcome back. So for today's video I thought I would do a book haul because I have bought, I actually don't know how many books are in front of me right now, but I have bought quite a few books. I have mentioned some of them in reading vlogs. If I've picked them up around the same time as that video I'll mention them, but as a whole I feel like I haven't done like a book haul in the books I've sort of picked up in the last couple of months. So I thought, why not go through it together? You can also tell me if any of these should be bumped in priority as well. So let's go through them. So I'm not going to go in sort of any particular order, I'm just going to go through the books that are in front of me. So I've got two stacks. How many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we have 16 books here, so I'm going to go through them and yeah, there'll be no particular order. I'm just going to run through them and hopefully I can give you guys a little bit of info on each of them. So the first one I've got is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, I believe is the author's name. This one is a lot shorter than I realised. I actually picked this up probably a few weeks ago now. I think it was during one of my most previous reading vlogs, and this one I really don't know much about, but I've heard very good things. It just says it's about a woman that's working for a New York fashion magazine and she's on the brink of her future, and then I think something goes wrong maybe. It just says working as an intern for a New York fashion magazine in the summer of 1953, Esther Greenwood is on the brink of her future, yet she is also on the edge of a darkness that makes her world increasingly unreal. Esther's vision of the world shimmers and shifts day to day, living in the sultry city, her crazed men friends, the hot dinner dances. So I'm assuming based on this that it's sort of like just follows a woman and her journey through the fashion industry, but obviously I could be very wrong. But I feel like I have heard really good things about this, so I'm really excited to pick this up, and the fact that it is so short, I feel like you could binge this within a day. The next one I actually picked up from the Waterstones Book Fest. I feel like we don't even need to talk about that because I feel like everyone's sort of gone into detail on how that day was, but the one good thing I did get out of it was an ARC, so I feel like that was my saving grace of the day, and that is 7 Deadly Thorns by Amber Hamilton. It also came with like a paint set because you can just paint the cover and sort of like design it your own, which I thought was really cool. Also like the perfect sort of floppiness for a book, and it is definitely, don't know if this is a hardback size, but it's definitely obviously bigger than your standard paperback. So I'm really excited to read this one, and it says at the back, "Let there be darkness." And it's got like gold foiling. This is being published by Bloomsbury. I don't actually know when this comes out. I think it comes out, I want to say either October or November. I feel like it's one or the other. I don't actually know. Oh, here we go. 28th of October this year. So it's not very long. I do want to try read it before because obviously, well, I've actually never had an ARC before, so just the excitement of having a physical book that hasn't been published yet is an excitement in itself, and yeah, I'm really excited to read it. So this one I actually don't know anything about. It just says Viola Sinclair has hidden her shadow magic her whole life. Discovery means certain death. For in the kingdom of, I think it's Aroga, dark magic is forbidden. When the queen finds out Viola's secret, she sends the royal assassin to kill her. He is given a cursed tattoo, 7 thorns on his arm for the 7 days he has to complete his deadly task. If he fails, he will be the one to die. Ooh, it sounds really interesting. It says the assassin is Rose Roquelet, I think that's how you say it, entitled prince, arrogant fellow student at Vadenburg Academy, and Viola's mortal enemy. The chance to strike Viola down is at Rose's fingertips, but he needs something from Viola, and he is willing to spare her life and fake their engagement to get it. Forced to work together, Viola and Rose uncover terrible secrets, sinister threats, and an irresistible attraction. Can they learn to trust each other in the time to save themselves and bring the light back to Argoa? Sounds really, really interesting. I also want to say at the very top it does say a devastating enemy to lovers romantasy. So yeah, this is the next one. This sounds really, really intriguing. I do want to read this. Probably maybe October. I feel like that would be a fun time to read it. Also then it's not too far away from it being published. But yeah, I'm really excited to read this. I don't know if this is her debut novel. I don't think it is, but it actually doesn't say if she's written any other books that I can see. So I'm not 100% sure. but as far as I'm aware, I haven't heard of her before, so I'm really excited to get into this one. So the next one is the third in a trilogy. So this is the last book, and that is Love Arranged by Lauren Roberts. Not Lauren Roberts, Lauren Asher. I don't even know how I got those two mixed up. But anyway, this one is by Lauren Asher, and this is the third one in the Lakefront Billionaires trilogy. I've obviously read the first two and I did enjoy them. My favourite was the first one. So I'm really excited to see this because I think this one is, obviously it's called Love Arranged, so I believe this is a not forced marriage, a marriage of convenience kind of thing, which I haven't read many tropes like that, so I'm excited to read this one. It follows Lorenzo and Lily. Believe Lily is Delilah from the first book's sister, I think, and I believe Lorenzo is sort of like he's not like an enemy, because I feel like it's a romance book, so enemy is a bit of a strong word, but I feel like he's someone that kind of has like a rivalry between some of the other male main characters in the series. I could be really wrong, that's just what my memory is telling me, but this one I think will be really fun. I think it's just, as I said, an arranged marriage between them two, and I don't think they get on. I think it could be kind of like, I don't know if he's like grumpy, or I don't know if he's going to be all for it, but yeah, I don't want to read too much at the back because I do like to go in more blind with romance books, especially when I know like this is an arranged marriage, so I kind of know how the plot will go, but I want to keep as much of it as a secret as I can, so I just get the full experience. So this is one I'm very, very excited to read. This is actually on my September TBR, so hopefully I will get to it very shortly and have a review for this one in a reading vlog potentially somewhere. So the next one is also the second book in a series, and that is The Throne of Broken Gods by Amber V. Nicole. This is the second book after the Book of Asriel. This is the Gods and Monsters series. I mean, this is a brick. I didn't realise how big this book was. I have the physical copy of the Book of Asriel, but I read it on my Kindle, and that is a long book, but I'm pretty sure this is a lot longer. I think this is nearing on 800 pages, like 770. So this is quite intimidating, and it is putting me off. I did enjoy the Book of Asriel, but I didn't love it as much as everyone else. I feel like it was just so long, and it didn't need to be that long. So that's kind of my fear with this one, but I do want to read on because I feel like the ending of the Book of Asriel sets this one up very strong, and I feel like the pacing, fingers crossed, would be better in this because there's a lot of world building, there's a lot of stuff you need to learn before you can get into the story in the first one. So fingers crossed I enjoy this one. The font is also not the biggest, so I think this could be potentially another Kindle one, but because I have the physical copy of the first one, I was like, I kind of need the second. If I don't enjoy this one, I don't think I'll be continuing, but I'm just praying that this one turns it around for me because I want to know, I want to feel the hype, I want to feel the love that everyone else has for this series. So the next one is another one that I've picked up quite recently, and it is The Sleepwalkers by Scarlett Thomas. This is another thin one, and I've actually realised I've still got the sticker on. I will be removing that. But this one is one I actually haven't heard anything about. I needed another book for buy one get one half price, and my friend when we were in Waterstone said she'd heard good things, and it's short. I believe it's like a thriller. I think it follows a couple called Evelyn and Richard who arrive on a idyllic Greek island for their honeymoon, and it's the end of the season, so a storm is brewing, and they check into an exclusive hotel. It's called Villa Rosa, where the proprietor Isabella flirts outrageously with Richard while treating Evelyn with a rudeness bordering on contempt. Isabella tells them the story of the Sleepwalkers, a couple who stayed at the hotel the year before and drowned in a tragic and unexplained accident. It starts to feel like the entire island is obsessed with the Sleepwalkers, but what at first seems like a fun tale to tell before bed quickly evolves into a living nightmare. So I feel like this one sounds really exciting. It sounds like a good thriller. I do think, now that I'm thinking about it, this is obviously set in Greece, so I'm like, it's not really giving the autumn thriller vibe, but it's obviously, well, I'm assuming it's like a thrillery kind of mystery. So I feel like it could still be fun to read, and it is also really short. So I feel like this is going to be a good palette cleanser with a lot of the thicker fantasies that we've got. Next book I actually didn't purchase. A friend of mine was getting rid of it because he bought it probably like a year or two ago and he never got around to reading it. He doesn't think it's his sort of book, and he just messaged me a picture of all these books he had that he was going to be giving away, and he was like, would you want any of them? And there was one that I said, yeah, I'll take it. I don't know if I'm going to love this one either, but I've just had so many people rave about it and talk about it. I'm like, if you're giving it away for free, I might not have purchased it with my own money, but if you're giving it away, I'll take it and I'll see if I like it. So that is Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. I feel like I've heard very, very good things about this, but I just don't know how my experience would go personally. I don't really know anything about the book, to be honest, so it is just a judgment based on what I've heard currently, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of people that love this love Binding and 13 and the Boys of Tommen series. Don't get me wrong, I do like that series. I've read the first 4, so I've read Joey and, I don't know how you say her name, Aoife? I think that's how you say her name. I've read, yeah, Saving and Redeeming 6 and Binding and Keeping 13, and I did enjoy them. None of them were a 5-star for me. I think they're like a good, interesting read. They're a good palate cleanser. Obviously they're very heavy, so it's not like a lovely whimsical romance, but I just don't love it as much as a lot of people, so I fear this one might not hit for me. At the back it just says, for years I've dreamt of what college life could bring, and while some things changed, there was always one constant. It didn't matter how wild I allowed my imagination to run, my future was clear and he was it, until suddenly he wasn't. Now there's a new man in my life, one who isn't afraid to go after what he wants, and what he wants is me. So that doesn't really tell you much, but I don't know if I want to say this is YA, but I have a feeling it might not be. I think it might be one that's set in it's a YA setting and the characters are young, but it's the content of the book isn't YA, if that makes sense. Like what happens within the book isn't YA, but I could be wrong. I'm not too sure. So this was one I'm really intrigued to pick up, to be honest. So I don't know when I'll get around to it, but at some point, hopefully this will be read. The next one I also picked up quite recently, which is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This is obviously a thriller. I've heard very, very good things about this one as well, and I actually found it in, oh, I do have the tag on it. I found it in TK Maxx for $3.99, and I'd put off buying it. Where was I? I saw it somewhere else at a cheap, not this cheap, but like quite a cheaper rate, and I thought, do I, don't I, do I, don't I? I was a bit of a in between, and then I saw it in TK Maxx for $3.99, and I was like, okay, this is a sign. Also need to take that sticker off. But this one I'm really excited for. As I said, I've heard very good things. I don't know too much about what it entails. I just sort of, I think it's about a woman. Let's just read the back. I don't know why I'm trying to summarise it for you. I don't have a clue. So it says, everyone believes that Lenora Hope is a mass murderer. When the Hope family was massacred decades ago, she was the only one left alive after that tragic night. Mute, paralysed and confined in a wheelchair, Lenora has never been able to tell her side of the story until her living caregiver Kit brings her a typewriter. And with one working finger, Lenora begins to type, "I want to tell you everything." See, that just sounds so intriguing. And obviously, it's now September, we're getting into like autumn, like Halloweeny vibes. I feel like thrillers are perfect. And I've also read one other book by Riley Sager, which was A House Across, is it A House Across the Lake or The House Across the Lake? I think it's The House Across the Lake, and I did really enjoy it, so I'm really intrigued to see this one. And it just sounds so eerie and spooky, like it is The House Across the Lake. I've just seen it there. But yeah, I'm really excited for this one. Also, again, it's not massively long, it's under 400 pages, so I bet this again will be a very good like palette cleanser. I then have 2 books by Kristen Hanna. So I have The Great Alone and The Women, both by obviously Kristen Hanna, and these 2 I'm really, really excited for. I have only read one Kristen Hanna book before, which was last year, and that was The Nightingale, and I did really enjoy it. It was my first ever historical fiction, and I feel like I really enjoyed her writing style and the storytelling, and just the way she makes you so empathetic and feels like so, you're just so impacted by their stories. So I saw these 2. This one actually was another TK Maxx find because it was $3.99. So I found this one on TK Maxx, and I think I picked this one up in Waterstones a while ago. I do really want to get around to these. I just, for some unknown reason, haven't yet. But I think this one, to summarise, this one I think follows a family, and their dad has just returned from Vietnam, the Vietnam War, and he's got PTSD and stuff, and I think he ends up coming back quite a bit of a changed man. I think he might be quite abusive towards his wife, and they end up deciding to move to Alaska to try and change their life. And it apparently is told in the daughter's point of view. So I think at the start she's, I actually don't know how old she is. I think she's 13. So it starts when she's 13, and I believe we get this throughout her going into adulthood, or sort of going through her teenage years, dealing with everything that like her parents are going through, her dad's been through, navigating moving to Alaska, that everything like that. And it just sounds really interesting, so I'm really excited to read about this one. And then The Woman I Believe follows a lady called Frankie, who I believe she was a nursing student, and she's gone out to, is it Vietnam? Yeah, she's gone out to serve, her brother's gone out to serve in Vietnam, and then she goes to be one of the nurses during the Vietnam War, and I believe it's her story within sort of going from nursing student to being in an active war and helping there. And it just sounds so interesting, and I feel like it probably will make me cry. I think both of them will. Kristin Hannah has a way of, yeah, making you so emotional, and I feel like both books will rip my heart out, but I'm really excited to read them, and I feel like they'll just be incredible based on her previous book that I've read. Also, I just want to say, I feel like my voice is like kind of not going exactly, but it's like changing throughout this video. I don't feel 100% at the minute. I've not felt great for the last few days. I've had like a bit of a headache and just, yeah, not feeling 100%, and I feel like my voice is slowly taking a toll. So I really do apologise, and I will try to speed this up because I feel like it's starting to irritate me. So it's probably irritating you. So yeah, I'm going to try to speed through a little bit more because I don't want to pain anyone. So the next two are probably books I feel like people are going to be like, oh my god, how have you not read these? Like, how? If you're such a big reader, if you love reading all of this, how have you not read this series? And that is The Hunger Games. I have the first two. I've got, yeah, The Hunger Games and Catching Fire. I think this is the second one, unless I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure I checked. I should know. I really should know. I have watched the films, obviously. I mean, I have done that, but I think these, let's hope these are the first two. These are the I think they're the Waterstones editions, so they have really, really cute spines, and they're just beautiful, beautiful covers. Yeah, I watched the films, and I don't actually know why I didn't read them. I wasn't as big of a reader as I am now. When I was younger, I would read a lot on holiday when I was younger, but it never really crossed into everyday life for me. And just because I don't think I heard of it, like The Hunger Games, until the film came out, and at that point I went and watched the film. So yeah, I was a bit like, do I read them? Do I need to read them? I've already seen the films, but I do really want to read The Songbirds and what was it? The Ballad of Snakes. Oh, I can't remember the names of them. The one about snakes that follows snow, and then I also want to read Sunrise on the Reaping. I think that's what it is, the most recent one that's come out. I really want to read those two, and I haven't watched any of the films since the actual trilogy, so my plan is to read it all. I think I'll probably do a reading vlog just of me reading The Hunger Games, so if that's something you're interested in, please let me know, because I feel like it would be really interesting. And I have only watched the films probably like probably like twice. So I mean, I know The Hunger Games very well, but like the other books in movies in the series, I feel like my memory's not as good. So for like these ones, Catching Fire and, oh god, what is it? I can't remember what the third film's called, but the third book, I feel like I will be more thrown by what happens in these than the first one. But I just know, like, I feel like it's a duty, I need to read them. So these will definitely be getting read at some point. I then picked up Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. I feel like I've heard people talk about this one, but I just can't remember who. Like, I know I've definitely heard people say this is a good book. Couldn't off the top of my head tell you who said that, but I also just love the cover. Like, that's kind of what drew me to it. I feel like I'd heard about it, and then I saw it on one of the tables in Waterstones, and I was like, oh, that's gorgeous. And I feel like people say it's a very good book. So another one, I actually don't know anything about this one, and I don't really know if I want to, because I do like going in blind, especially with fantasy. So I just know there's something about a sword, obviously, because it's called Sword Heart, but I don't know anything about it, and I don't think I want to. I'm like trying to brush past it, but yeah, I don't think there's anything I can do. I feel like it might be, is it Enemies to Lovers? I don't know, but I'm really, really intrigued by this one, so hopefully I enjoy it. I feel like it's Okay, let's just give you like the first little bit. It just says, Hala has unexpectedly inherited the estate of a wealthy uncle. Unfortunately, she is also saddled with money-hungry relatives, full of devious plans for how to wrest the inheritance away from her. And it says, while locked in her bedroom, Hala inspects the ancient sword that's been collecting dust on the wall since before she moved in. Out of desperation, she unsheaths it, and suddenly a man appears. His name is, I think it's Sarkis, he tells her, and he is an immortal warrior trapped in a prison of enchanted steel. Oh, this sounds really interesting. I'm not going to read the rest because I do want something that I won't expect. But yeah, this one I feel like will be really fun. I feel like this is definitely one I'd love to read like towards the end of this year. The next book is one I definitely want to read this autumn, and that is Wisteria by Adeline Grace. This is the third and final book, I believe, in the Belladonna trilogy. I think that's what it's called. And I really enjoyed the first two, and I feel like this is just such a fun one. I'm not going to read the back of this, obviously, because it is the third book in a series, and if you haven't read the other two, I don't want to spoil anything, but if you haven't read it, Belladonna basically follows a girl called, name has escaped me. Can't think of her name for the life of me, but basically follows a girl who basically keeps, oh my god, what is the word? I can't think of the right word, but she like deceives death. She keeps getting out of his grasp. Like every time she dies, she somehow comes back to life, and she can't figure out why. She's an orphan, and she's basically just been moved into a new estate with some family members. It might be an uncle, potentially, I think. And it's basically her trying to figure out this mystery that's happening within their manor that she's now living in. And it's very, like I always say to everyone, it's like Bridgerton with death. Like it's there's balls, very stately, there's like big manor houses, there's a lot of wealth, and it's just so fun, and I'm so excited to read the third one because, as I said, I did love the first two, and I feel like this is a really good read. So I feel like I will aim to read this in October because I think that is the perfect time of year and just the vibe. So also, if you haven't read it, any of the series, I would highly recommend. The stack of books has just completely fallen. Brilliant. Okay, I'm gonna just ignore that. But anyway, if you haven't read them, that is your sign. I highly recommend. Next one again is the second book in a series, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but that is Glow of the Everflame by Penn Cole. I read Spark of the Everflame earlier this year, and I did enjoy it. I think I rated it like a 3.5, 3.75. I really enjoyed it, and it's very fast paced. It's a lot shorter, the first one is, than this book, but I will say I did find that the plot was quite predictable. I feel like it kind of felt like one of those fantasy books where I felt like I'd read this before. So it didn't really scream different or, you know, anything like that, but I still had a good time, and I feel like going into the series, everyone raves about it. I feel like I will love it. So I'm really excited to see it. Again, I won't go into detail, but, and I also can't remember the female's name. What is the female's name? Diam? I think it's Diam. But yeah, it's a really interesting one. I'll pull up a brief description of the first one because I actually can't remember for the life of me. I need to probably remind myself. I remember the ending, but obviously I'm not going to go tell you the ending of it. So Diam yearns to escape the insular life of her poor village. Her mother's sudden disappearance and the discovery of a dangerous secret about her past offer Diam an unexpected opportunity to enter the dark world of descended royalty and unlock the web of mysteries her mother left behind. With the dying king's handsome, mysterious heir watching her every move and a ruthless mortal alliance recruiting her to join the growing civil war, Diam will have to navigate the unwritten rule of love, power and politics in order to save her family and all of mortal kind. So that's kind of like an overview of the first one and the series, but as I said, I don't want to go into anything about this one because I'm not going to ruin it, because the key thing I remember of the first book is the ending, so that would just spoil everything. So this is one I definitely want to get to soon. And then second to last, we have Picking Daisies on Sundays by Liana Sinotti. I think that's how you pronounce it, but this one I've heard really, really good things about, and funnily enough, when I was scrolling through TikTok the other day, I believe this has been picked up by a publisher. I think this has been indie published, and it's going to be traditionally published. I can't remember who's picking this up, but obviously congratulations to the author because that's amazing, and I feel like that's pushed me to read it even more. It's obviously very white. I feel like you can really tell with like just the page colour when things have been indie published, but this one I've heard really good things about and I'm really excited to read it. I don't know what this one is about again. I feel like it's very rom-com because it just says our female lead Danielle, all she wants is love. She watches endless rom-coms every Friday night. What she hadn't hoped for is to find it in her childhood best friend. Oh, so it's like childhood friends to lovers. That's really sweet. And then I think, oh okay, it says in her childhood best friend, but it didn't end. It ended because they didn't feel the same way, and she vowed to never see him again, and then 4 years later they see each other again in a crowded bar. So I'm really intrigued to read this one, and I feel like it just looks so cute. I feel like it is probably more of a summer book. I did buy this in the hopes of reading it when I was away on holiday, but I just didn't get around to it. But I feel like even in autumn, winter, if I need a palette cleanser, I will still pick up a romance book, even if it isn't set in autumn. Obviously, ideally, I do go for books of the season in a way, but I do really want to read this one. And now that I know it's being traditionally published, I feel like that's pushed me to read this one even more. And then lastly, we have a very popular book, which is The Ministry of Time, by Kalani, is it Kalani Bradley? I don't know if I'm saying that right, so I do apologise if that is the incorrect pronunciation of your name, but this one I've heard so many good things about. I feel like everyone's obsessed with it and I believe it. I'm just going to read like the top little bit because I don't want to read too much myself or give too much away if you, like me, like to go in blind. Let's let that motorbike go across. So it just says, a civil servant is offered a lucrative job in a mysterious new government ministry gathering expats for across history to test whether time travel is feasible. So whether this is a bit of a what? This is more of a sci-fi than fantasy, I believe, but it just sounds really interesting, and I've never read a book that follows time travel, so I feel like that will be really fun to see and just see how it's done. And I believe it's also being made into a film. I don't know if I'm just picking something out of thin air, but I feel like I definitely have heard this is becoming a film or a TV show or something along those lines, so I feel like that's urged me again to pick it up sooner because I do really want to read this one. And oh my god, it has a quote from Emily Henry, one of my favourite authors, and it says, "I loved every second." So I've read this one, I have really high hopes for this one, and there's like loads of different variations of colour of the cover. I obviously went for the pink one, but I also just love the yellow spine. That's kind of what sold me, like the pink and the yellow. But yeah. So that is everything I've recently purchased book-wise in the last few months. As I said, if there's anything on this list that you think, oh my god, prioritise, you need to read it, please let me know. There are a lot of them that I do hopefully plan to read by the end of this year, but I always say that and sometimes it just doesn't happen. So yeah, let me know if there's any you think I should prioritise the most, or if you've read any of them, or if you plan to read them. And thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, all of that fun stuff, and hopefully I will see you again soon.